Alrighty, you guys, so this ranking system basically is all 18 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that have released so far. So from the original Iron Man movie all the way to Black Panther. Infinity War is not included in this, but when Infinity War comes out, I'll do a new ranking then, and same with when Ant-Man and the Wasp come out and so on and so forth. But I wanted to do this video for a while and just really share which movies I like the most, and I'm going to be going through all 18, basically saying which ones I like the least. That will be the first ones all the way up to the ones I like the best. So let's get into this thing. And the first movie that I have is Iron Man 3. I can't say that I hate Iron Man 3. I do not hate any of these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I don't think any of them are that bad. But at the same time, I do not think that this movie is the greatest one. Obviously, I ranked it last because I was very disappointed with this Iron Man movie. I really liked how Jon Favreau put the Iron Man movies to screen. I thought he did a really good job. I know a lot of people did not like how he made Iron Man 2, but I personally didn't mind that. I didn't think it was horrible. But this one isn't horrible either. I thought that the villain definitely was a huge bummer. I'm one of those people definitely that is still butthurt about the Mandarin not being the actual Mandarin. I thought he was pretty cool in the comic books. That's just myself. I know a lot of people don't think the same way. But at the same time, I feel as though this story was so disconnected from everything else that it not only didn't have any Avengers in it, which that's never a problem for me. I'm okay with the standalone movies. But the thing is, they didn't really say anything after, like, what happened. Like, Tony Stark destroys all of his Iron Man armors at the end of this movie, but at the same time, he's there as Iron Man in Age of Ultron with no explanation. They explained it in Civil War, and they'll probably explain a little bit more in Infinity War, but that's all they really did. So that's why I didn't really like this movie, but it's still okay, and it's still an okay watch for now and then, I'll get to say. Now at number 17, I have Thor: The Dark World. Obviously, this one has the weakest villain of all time. Malekith was such a bad villain. Definitely a lot of hype behind him, especially for me when I was seeing the movie. I was excited to see the Dark Elf. I thought he was really cool in the comic books. Wanted to see him. I thought they did a horrible job. I thought they did a horrible job with Thor. Everybody, except for probably Loki. He was probably the only interesting character. Everybody was just really boring in this movie. Very dull and forgettable Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Definitely, I went back and forth with Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World on this because I thought they're both pretty forgettable and just kind of so disconnected that it doesn't even matter. It feels like they're not even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at a point. It feels like they're just kind of by themselves in their own franchises and they have nothing to do with anything else. But there were a couple cameos in here for other Avengers, but I just didn't think it was that great. So that's why I have it at number 17. And those are really the only two movies that I didn't really think were that great. All the other ones up from here I think are good. Those are the okay movies. Everything else from up here is either okay, good, or excellent. That's really how I feel about it. And the next one is The Incredible Hulk. I think The Incredible Hulk is an incredibly underrated film. I think it's actually a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. I liked Abomination as the villain. They definitely had ties to Leader. Never did anything with the Leader. I don't know why. I thought they would, but definitely was a great villain in Abomination. I thought that was really cool. I liked Edward Norton as the Hulk. I thought he did a good job. I will say it does drag a little bit in this movie, and at the same point, the CGI on the Hulk and the Abomination could have been better, in my opinion. I thought the Iron Man CGI, which came out just a couple months before this one did, I thought that was better CGI than this movie. I thought this movie definitely was lacking with the CGI. Especially on the Hulk, he looked like a video game character than anything else, so that's why it's 16. At number 15, I have Iron Man 2. I definitely enjoyed this a lot more than most people. I thought War Machine was definitely a really cool addition. And I really didn't mind the recasting of Rhodey. I didn't even really notice when I was a little kid. When I was watching this, I was probably in like 8th grade, so I was just at the end of middle school. And I thought it was okay. I thought they did a pretty good job. There were definitely parts where it dragged on and got a little boring. But at the same time, I thought Whiplash was actually a pretty cool villain. He wasn't like a blow your socks off villain, but I thought he was okay for the movie. I didn't think he was that bad. But, yeah, Iron Man 2 is an okay watch. At number 14, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this movie definitely, I will say, is not as good as the first one. Not even close to being as good as the first one. But at the same time, I still thought it was very enjoyable. I was laughing throughout the entire movie. Thought it was so much fun. I just thought there was definitely a lack of story in this one. I thought they kind of just skimmed through the plot. Didn't really matter. Definitely a lot of character development in this one. And definitely a lot of character interactions. And that's what mainly the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are. Less plotty, more just character moments. And I think that's pretty good. So I have to give this one number 14. At number 13, I have Age of Ultron. Now, Second Avengers movie, obviously the first Avengers movie, in my opinion, was amazing. This one introduced Ultron, and I definitely was expecting way more from Ultron than what we got. I thought he was an incredibly disappointing villain, probably the most disappointing villain other than like say Malekith or something like that, and the Mandarin. I thought that it was really hyped with Ultron. Marvel Studios was definitely hyping him up, but at the same time, he just fell through. He wasn't that great. Vision was a great addition. Scarlet Witch was as well. Quicksilver, I didn't really care for in the movie. I thought he was okay, and when he died, I didn't really care. So that's really what I thought of Age of Ultron. Next up, I have the original Kenneth Branagh Thor. I really liked the original Thor movie. A lot of people definitely have problems with it, and people say it's just like Thor Ragnarok. Like Thor Ragnarok literally copied the exact same thing that happens in this movie. But I thought it was pretty good. When I first went to go see it, I was thinking to myself, please don't be bad, please don't be bad, because we've never seen anything kind of like Thor before. That was definitely like kind of the Guardians of the Galaxy of that time, where you've never seen Thor on screen before. They could screw this up big time. I thought they did a great job with Loki and his motivation in the movie. I thought they did a great job of showing Thor and how he develops through the movie, of becoming kind of an arrogant prince, and then all of a sudden he is worthy of the throne. I thought that was really good, and I liked Loki as the main villain, and I liked to see the Frost Giants. Definitely smaller than what I wanted them to be, but at the same time, also the Destroyer armor was in this, and he was awesome. I wish they brought the Destroyer armor back, but I still really like this Thor, and that's why this is number 12. At number 11, I have the first Avenger, Captain America. Red Skull was an amazing villain. I absolutely love the motivations of Captain America. I think they did a great job of doing a period piece on this, showing World War II, and I think they did a phenomenal job of just really giving everybody the overall impression of Captain America, who he really is. They didn't shy away from it. I thought it was awesome, and I love the costume of Captain America in this one. Really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So now getting into the top 10. Number 10, I have Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man. Ant-Man was an awesome movie. Definitely a huge surprise for me. I thought this definitely could have been a really bad movie, especially when they had like the director changes. That could have been a really just bad movie after that, but they still pulled it together. Thought Paul Rudd was great as Ant-Man. Yellow Jacket wasn't that great of a villain, but I thought they did a really good job with this movie, and I liked Louise a lot in this movie. But yeah, number 10, Ant-Man. At number 9, I have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was definitely an awesome movie, and now after like say Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man, I knew they could pull this off, and I was still expecting a pretty good movie out of this one. I thought it was pretty good. I will say I definitely really enjoyed this. How they did the sorcery, how they explained who the sorcerers were in the world. Ancient One was really good. I wish we got a little bit more of Dormammu in this movie, but Caecilius was an okay villain. I didn't think he was that great, but Doctor Strange himself was amazing in this. I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. At number 8, I have the original Iron Man. I love the original Iron Man. Such a good movie. And now, like, really getting the top 8, this is really movies that I had really hard time ranking because it gets so hard to rank after this, but original Iron Man, awesome movie. Obadiah Stane's Ironmonger is a completely underrated villain in my opinion. I loved Obadiah Stane as the villain. In the 10 Rings that were the group that kidnapped Tony Stark, you can see Tony Stark's huge character development, just kind of like Doctor Strange. You can see that in that movie, and you can see it in Thor as well. How the characters really changed from being very arrogant at the beginning, and then becoming that hero that everybody wants them to be at the end of the movie. Great movie, definitely a solid start to the MCU. Definitely what started it all, and they did a great job with this movie. At number 7, I have Spiderman Homecoming. I have this just edging out Iron Man. I think this is actually a really cool movie. Vulture is definitely one of the best MCU villains to date. If I had to like give him a ranking, probably like my second favorite and my third favorite. Obviously Thanos is coming, so he might beat him, but I will say this is an awesome retelling of Spider-Man. They didn't do the origin, which was awesome. They gave subtle hints, but I love the way they portrayed Spider-Man in this. He definitely feels like the best Spider-Man put to screen in my opinion. I love Tom Holland. He definitely is the right age. He looks the right age. He looks like he's actually a kid in high school, acts like it, and I thought it was just a really fun movie. Definitely did a great job with Spider-Man Homecoming. Probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. Next up at number 6, I have Guardians of the Galaxy, the original one. This is just one of those movies where it's like I can watch this over and over and over again and never get bored of this movie. I love the original Guardians movie. This is definitely the one movie where it was really out there. When they first announced it, I was like, holy crap, they're actually doing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That's either gonna be really bad or really good. but of course, I knew of the Guardians in the comic books, and I knew how cool they could be, especially Rocket Raccoon. He's my favorite in the movies. And he was like in my favorite in the comic books as well. So I'm really happy that they put this movie together, and James Gunn did a great job kind of putting a space Marvel movie out there and made it really cool. At number 5, I have Civil War. I will say I do not think Civil War is as good as the other movies that I put on my list, but I will say I think Civil War is a phenomenal movie. Once again, the Russo brothers, they never disappoint. They're such a good directors with the Marvel characters, especially Captain America. I thought Captain America was awesome in this. Iron Man was really good, and I love how they addressed the comic book series in this. They put a lot of time and effort, and really, honestly, just addressing comic books, right here. This is the scene right here where it's like, they don't just make the movie, they don't just take whatever they want and they're like, oh, we'll do Civil War, but we'll do our own story. No, they take things from the comic books and make it work in their movie, and they just take subtle elements, and they did a great job with this movie. I absolutely love Civil War. Great job, and great additions to Black Panther and Spider-Man as well. At number 4, I have the original Avengers movie. When this first came out, this was definitely my favorite out of all of the movies. This was probably one of the most fun times I've had in a movie theater ever. This was the coolest movie I had seen when I was a little kid. Well, actually, probably like a high school. I was like in high school when I saw this. So when I was in high school, it was the coolest movie I saw. I absolutely loved this movie. I love just bringing all the Avengers together for the first time. This was definitely one of the most special movies I'll probably have in my memory from a movie theater ever. Definitely a really classic movie for the MCU, and I just love all the characters, how they interacted with each other, and how they did the Hulk. The Hulk was the best in this movie. He was so good. I think there's one that definitely tops it, but that's in another movie that I'm going to basically announce next, which is, at number 3, I have Thor Ragnarok. This was the biggest surprise because obviously, if you really look at it, the Thor movies that were ranked, they were at the lower half of this list, but this one's at the top half because I thought they did such a good job with this. There's a lot of Jack Kirby in there, who's the original artist of like, say, the Thor comic books and all that. I'm pretty sure he did Thor, but really, they did such a good job. I thought Hela was an awesome villain. I thought she was pretty cool. I thought, you know, everybody was handled well. I love how they redid Thor in this. Really cool. And this was where the Hulk was the best. The best of the best is where the Hulk was awesome. And I just loved everything about how they meshed Planet Hulk and Thor Ragnarok together in this. It was really cool, and I honestly cannot wait for them to make another Thor movie because I think they will in the future. At number 2, I don't have the movie with me because it's still in theaters, but Black Panther. I thought Black Panther was one of the most exceptional Marvel movies ever made. Definitely blew my socks off. I thought the world of Wakanda was amazing. And honestly, just really bringing like how the movie starts to the end, it is one of the most solid stories like for a movie that I've actually seen in a while, because honestly, I love how they kind of brought Black Panther. It's kind of like the fall of the king, and then he kind of has that rebirth. And it reminds me a lot of like Lion King in a way that Simba basically is going to the throne, except it's done a little bit differently, but at the same time, I love the way they use vibranium, how they did Black Panther T'Challa, kind of making him even cooler than he was in Civil War. Definitely one of the best Marvel movies to date. And at number 1, I have Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I love this movie. This is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite. That definitely is still to be determined because it's so hard to pick my favorite movie of all time. But I love what they did with Captain America. Captain America is my second favorite hero in all of comic books, other than Spider-Man. And I thought from when they did the first Avenger, I thought they did a really good job, but then we saw him in Avengers, and I personally thought that he was kind of portrayed as the weakest character on the team. Weaker than Hawkeye and Black Widow. I thought he was just portrayed as just a goody two-shoes that doesn't really do anything. But you know what? In this one, the Russo brothers were like, no, we're gonna make Captain America cool. And right when you see that first scene of him on the boat, taking out all the bad guys on the ship, that was amazing. I love the choreography in this movie. They definitely just stepped it up for Captain America, made it seem even more like Captain America in The Winter Soldier, and they made him seem like the badass and kind of ascend to being the leader that he was in like Age of Ultron, and now he is in the entire MCU. He is the leader of the Avengers, and they definitely kind of made it seem like that in this movie, and I just love the whole political thriller aspect of this movie where Hydra is actually secretly in S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just really happy that I actually have this movie in my collection, and I'm happy that they actually made this awesome Captain America movie. Definitely my favorite out of all of them so far. But Infinity War is right around the corner, so I will be doing another ranking of these movies. But guys, let me know down in the comments, What do you guys think of my rankings of the movies? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments. I want to hear your rankings of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Definitely make sure you guys smash that like button if you guys like the video. Of course, if you guys want more rankings on the MCU and more Marvel Cinematic Universe videos, definitely consider subscribing below so you guys get plenty of videos on all that stuff. Also, make sure you guys definitely turn on notifications so you guys can keep up to date with all my latest uploads. But thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye. Alrighty, Webheads, if you guys like this video and you guys want to see more, definitely consider subscribing right over here to Webhead so you guys get plenty of videos on all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies going forward. Also, turn on that notification bell. Make sure you guys definitely check out my social media links in the description below so you guys can follow me on various social media networks and check out the 2 videos below me. I think you guys really enjoy. But thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.